Hello, good morning. Looks like it's just the three of us for now, but let's get started. So like I said last time, I'm going to take up the study guide with you guys, and then if we have time, we're gonna go take up the Lab 3 PowerPoint slide deck as well. So let's start with the first question here. It says name three pairs of antagonistic hormone and state the type of homeostasis they maintain. So the first pair of antagonistic hormone that we learned about was in the renal system, okay? And they are going to be aldosterone, and ANH, and together they maintain blood sodium level. Okay, blood sodium level. The second pair of antagonistic hormone that we learned was in the bone unit, and that is going to be calcitonin. Calcitonin and PTH, parathyroid hormone, and together they maintain blood calcium level. And the last pair that I haven't really go into detail about it yet, but we labeled the overall diagram last time, and this is the insulin and glucagon. And that is responsible for maintaining blood glucose level. Okay. So that's that. You know what? Actually, I want to reverse the order here. Let's put the ANH here and then aldosterone. Okay. And the reason I want to do that is these one here at the beginning, these one will bring down. These lower the level of whatever, right? Like ANH will lower the level of Na, calcitonin will lower the level of calcium, insulin will lower the level of blood. And on the other hand, these one, they will I guess they will increase the level of right? So aldosterone will increase the level of sodium, PTH will increase the level of calcium in the blood, and glucagon will increase the level of glucose in the blood. Okay, so again, if you try to memorize it, if you try to group them together like this, it might make it easier for you to remember. Any question? Okay. Here is our favorite diagram. You must be very familiar with it by now. What is this here? Help me out, please. Anybody know what this part is?
The hypothalamus.
Now, this is a hypothalamus. Very good. Okay, and this here I mean, you can see this is the optic chiasma, so that makes this the front, the anterior pituitary. And of course, we have the posterior pituitary. And the question is asking us to describe the structural and functional relationship. Well, structurally, they're physically connected, right? Remember, I told you there are two groups of neurons. There are neurons that physically connected, physically connecting the hypothalamus and the posterior pituitary gland, physically connected like this. Okay, that's the axon terminal. Okay, so physical connection. And we know there are two hormones that are produced in the hypothalamus by these neurons, and they're transported to and stored in the posterior pituitary gland. And by now, you should know that they are oxytocin for milk, let down, and uterine contraction, as well as ADH for water conservation. So that's like the structural connection, right? The axon runs through the infundibulum, and then it goes right into the posterior pituitary. And of course, there are a second group of neurons. Okay, they don't extend the neuron all the way, they don't extend the axon all the way to the anterior pituitary gland, but there are a network of capillaries here. I mean, you don't really have to draw that if you don't want to. That's just capillary network. So when the hypothalamus releases the releasing hormone or the inhibiting hormone, it will go into the capillary network right here, and immediately it get distributed to the anterior pituitary. So it's really quick control, exerting on the AP. So we learned about three types of controlling hormone, three types of releasing hormone from hypothalamus. I just want you to recite them, for yourself. Think about what they are. Okay, they all end in RH. Okay. What are they? Anybody?
GnRH,
Mm-hmm.
TN, or just TRH, sorry.
Yeah. Good. Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent, right? Okay, and these are going to be exerting effect, like I said, on the AP, and that's going to cause it to release FSH, LH, TSH, and ACTH. ACTH, right? Okay, and if you want to highlight them, you can, like this. And then you just practice doing this a couple times, a few times a day, between now and the test, and you will be able to remember them. Okay. We have a special name for these hormones, don't we? These four. Right? They are called tropic hormone because they target another endocrine gland. But don't forget there are also non-tropic ones. Non-tropic ones. What are the two non-tropic ones? Think about the pictures I showed you in the lecture slide. Non-tropic, what are they?
The growth hormone and prolactin.
That's right, very good. Now, the growth hormone and prolactin also has their own releasing hormones, but I just didn't tell you what they are. Okay, just be mindful of that. So that's that. Okay, just this diagram alone already have like 11 hormones in it. And then if you memorize the antagonistic hormone, that's another additional 6, so that's 17. Right? All right, moving on. This is an old diagram from the bone, but it's a important one. So let's fill it in together. This is a complete the following flowchart related to PTH and calcitonin. So in the middle here, we have normal blood calcium. And remember, we need calcium for various things, right? For a contraction of the muscle. Remember our discussion with the actin and the myosin and the troponin, tropomyosin, all that stuff, right? It involves calcium. So we don't want it to be too high or too low. So number one, we have an increase in calcium level in the blood for whatever reason. Okay, maybe you took some supplements. Okay? Maybe you had a calcium-rich meal, lots of dairy, maybe. And that is going to trigger this gland to respond. What gland is this? Which gland is responsible?
Thyroid.
That's right. This is the thyroid gland. Very good. Thyroid gland. Sorry, let me try that one more time. Thyroid gland. And that's going to pick up the increase in calcium. And in response to that, it is going to release calcitonin. Okay, calcitonin. I'm just going to choose a different color. I don't think it shows up too well. Here, let's see. It's equally bad. Okay, I'm just going to stick with black then. Calcitonin. When there's an increase in calcium, you need calcitonin. And where are we going to put the calcium? Well, the calcitonin is going to increase calcium deposition in bones. You're going to put it in the bones. Right? The matrix of the bone is rich in calcium and phosphate salt. And also, you're going to reduce calcium absorption in the kidney. Right? Let them stay in the filtrate. You don't need them. You don't need to take them back. And then together, these actions, that's going to bring the blood calcium level back down. Conversely, if you have a drop in calcium level, we're going to act on this. Now, you can't really see it. It's maybe the diagram is not really showing up too well, but if you look closely, you will see that there are these knobs there. Those knobs are on the backside of the thyroid gland. They are the parathyroid glands. And the parathyroid gland secretes the parathyroid hormone, PTH. Now that we don't have enough calcium, where are we going to get them from? Going to get it from the bones, of course. So you're going to increase calcium absorption. Okay, basically, I can put it here. Increase calcium absorption from the bone, from the filtrate, and from the intestine, right? So these are the only sources of calcium. And that's going to bring the blood calcium level back up. That's all for PTH and calcitonin. Okay. Any questions? Fantastic. Next one. Complete the following flow chart related to insulin and glucagon. So, what again, in the middle, we have normal blood glucose. Okay. Normal blood glucose. This is new, okay? I haven't talked about it in the PowerPoint yet, but I will now. So number one, we have increased glucose. Why do we have increased glucose? After a meal. Okay. Or you drink something sugary. So your blood glucose level is going to go up. And the gland that's going to be detecting it is the pancreas. Pancreas. Now, in the pancreas, we have these, we have different cells. We have cells that will be responsible for making the exocrine stuff for the digestive system, but we also have cells that will be making the hormones. So in the pancreas, we have these things called the beta cells. Beta cells. Beta islet to be proper islet cells, and they are the ones that will make insulin. Insulin. When there is an increase in glucose, you need insulin. Insulin. Okay? So insulin is going to help trigger and stimulate the cells to take up blood glucose. So cells promote cells to take up glucose. Okay, take the glucose into the cell, use them for cellular respiration. And also, it's gonna act on, do you guys know what this is in the picture? Just making sure. Do you remember what happens, like from lecture, like last semester, lecture 2 or something? What do you do with the glucose if you have too many of them? What do you convert them to?
Glucagon?
Close. Glucagon is the other hormone, but I think you meant to say glycogen.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So glucose get converted into glycogen. Okay. The storage form of energy, right? It's one of the first thing I taught you guys. That seems like so long ago. And then together, these things are gonna lower glucose, bring it back to the normal range. Okay. So the opposite can happen. You might have a drop in glucose. An example of that would be fasting. So fasting lowers your blood glucose level, and that's going to be detected also by the pancreas. But this time, there is another group of cells called the alpha islet cells. Alpha. And they are going to release glucagon. Right? When glucose are gone, you need glucagon to bring it back up. And if you have trouble memorizing which one is beta, which one is alpha, there is an A in glucagon. Right? There's an A in glucagon. Right? So alpha cells, glucagon. Insulin doesn't have a B, doesn't have an A, right? Okay. So beta cells for insulin, alpha cells for glucagon. And the glucagon, I mean, you cannot make the cell kind of give back the glucose. It doesn't work like that. But you can act on the liver. Right? You can take the storage glycogen and then change it back into glucose. The liver is like a reservoir, right? Like a storage for these excess glucose. And that's going to increase your glucose level. Okay. So together, they help maintain homeostasis. Are we together?
I have a question.
Yep.
So what happens when like your body's been like doing the procedure when you have a low glucose level for a really long time and like it really doesn't have anything left to uh like push up the glucose level? What happens?
What procedure?
Like when if you have like the low glucose level, it goes to the pancreas, it gets the alpha cells, the glucagon, and it turns glycogen to the glucose. What happens if your body can't do that anymore because it doesn't
Oh,
have?
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then, like, this is only one of the path, right? But like, eventually, if you are like fasting for extended period of time with no food intake, then remember we talk about the cortisol, right? So your body's gonna be stressed out, right? Long term, chronic. So the cortisol is now gonna kick in, right? Your central nervous system is gonna override the negative feedback from the cortisol, and then the cortisol level is gonna go up. And with high cortisol, you will now, get more glucose, but not just from the liver, right? But from all the other macromolecules that you have in the body. Like it will start breaking down your muscle, right? It will start tapping into your fat reserve, right? But this can only go on for so long, of course, right? I mean, they say the 3-3-3 rule, right? 3 minutes without oxygen, then you would die. 3 minutes, 3 weeks or 3 days, 3 days without water, 3 weeks, I think maybe without water, then you die. And then for with or was it one of them? I forgot. I think 3 days without water you would die, and then 3 weeks without food, then your body starts withering away, right? So like you can go on for quite some time without food. That's my point, because you can tap into these other reserve. But glucagon is more like intermittent fasting, right? Like if you just skip a meal or 2 meals, then the glucagon is going to do most of the job. But beyond that, right, then there are other resources that we have to tap into. Does that answer your question, or that's not what you're asking me?
Oh yeah, I'm good now. Now I'm just wondering about diabetes, but I'm sure it'll be.
Yeah, so for diabetes, it's quite different though, depending on which kind um, you're referring to. Are we supposed to talk about diabetes? I mean, I used to talk about it, but I don't remember if I talk it out. Let me just quickly take a look at the slides. Okay, let me see if we have some diabetes slides here. No, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it, but I can briefly talk about it. So for diabetes, like I said, there are two kinds of diabetes. There's type 1 diabetes, okay, which is autoimmune, okay, where the beta islet cells are destroyed, okay? So the person cannot make insulin. And so they rely on the insulin shots to regulate their blood sugar. Okay, so nowadays they can have like um, like a little probe that gets implanted, not implanted, but like it inserts underneath the skin, I think, and it could give them like a live reading of the blood glucose, and then that could um, be used for like auto injection. Okay, so it's pretty reliable, and there's like no cure for it. But for type 2 diabetes, we call this insulin resistance. Okay, so it's related to lifestyle. Sometimes, obesity increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. It's basically your body is no longer responding to the insulin. Okay, so because the person constantly have high glucose level, and then your body trying to make more insulin to absorb them, and then your cell gets used to it. Your cells becomes resistant to the insulin. They no longer respond to it to the same intensity, and so even though there are insulin in the body, your cells are just not taking up the glucose. They're taking some of it up, but there's like too much. They're not going to able to take it up. Um, and so in this kind of situation, giving them insulin injection will not solve the problem. Okay, like they already have a lot, in fact. So but through exercise, right, exercise is another way to kind of encourage your cells to take up the glucose. Your muscle cells can take them up, right? And also medication to kind of block the release of glucose from, say, the liver, and together, the effort is to bring the glucose level back to an acceptable um, uh, homeostasis level. So that's diabetes in brief. I don't think there are any questions on the test. I took them out, I think. Okay, moving on. Here it is again. Right? Like you can never get sick of looking at this diagram because it's so important. Hopefully, the more you do it, the more you understand it. This is again the hypothalamus. And if you're wondering, right, like that again is the optic chiasma. Don't forget this is part of the sphenoid bone. And so you can see we have the two parts of the pituitary gland. This time the anterior is on the right side, just line it up with the optic chiasma, right? And then you have the posterior pituitary right here. So these are like the downstream target, if you would. So let me give you a moment to try to fill that out, please. Okay, so what hormone targets the bone and the muscle? Bones and muscle. And again, this is from the AP, right? From the anterior pituitary.
The calcium?
But the calcitonin stuff don't come from the AP, right? Does it? Okay, so we're looking for hormone that's coming out of the AP, anterior pituitary gland, that acts on the bones and the muscle. Anyone else? That's right, Blessing. The GH, the growth hormone. Very good. Growth hormone targets the bones and muscles so that you can get bigger. Okay, which one targets the mammillary gland?
Oxytocin?
Now, that's a common mistake people make. The oxytocin is from the PP, though, right? Not the AP. Okay?
Prolactin.
That's right, the prolactin, the PRL. Okay, remember, we're looking at the anterior pituitary. So again, these are non-tropic hormones. because they don't target another endocrine gland. Mammillary gland, it's not an endocrine gland, it's an exocrine gland. Okay, it secretes through a duct. Okay, these are the tropic ones. Help me out, please. Testis and ovaries.
FSH and LH.
That's right. Follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. And for the thyroid,
TSH.
yeah, thyroid stimulating hormone. And then this last one is, it's a bit hard to remember the name, but it's ACTH, I'm sorry. AC, adrenocortical hormone, ACTH. Okay, so here it says releasing hormone in portal circulation. Portal circulation is the capillary network, right? When you have a capillary, two capillaries network connected together through a very short blood vessel, we call that a portal system. You have that in the brain, you have that in the liver. It just helps circulation really quickly. In fact, the nephron, right? That they also have a portal system. The glomerulus is capillary, right? And then you have the peritubular capillary connected to another capillary. In that case, by the afferent arteriole. Right? So these are all called portal system. But we know the releasing hormone, right? GnRH, TRH, CRH. Okay. Moving on. Name the hormone that best fits each of the following description. I'm just going to take it up with you. If you want to participate, you should. Okay, just type the answer along the way. First one, basal metabolic hormone. These hormones help maintain your metabolic rates, in other words. Okay, there are two that does that. Which one are they? You choose a nice color here.
T3 and T4.
T3 and T4, that's right. T3, T4. They maintain your metabolic rate. Okay, if they are too high, you get hyperthyroidism. Otherwise, you have hypothyroidism, right? Essential for T cell maturation. This one is thymosin, which is released from the thymus. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. If you're driving, then don't answer yes. Most important hormone regulating the amount of calcium circulating in blood. Now that doesn't really tell you much. Like, is it calcitonin? Is it PTH? We don't know, but we can keep reading. It's released when blood calcium level drops. So when calcium comes down, which one do we need? Is it calcitonin or is it PTH?
PTH.
PTH. Yeah. So I encourage you guys to make cue cards for these. If not for the test, right? For your next course, you're gonna have to learn these things again. Okay, I'm telling you, like everything we learn, you're gonna learn again when you take anatomy, physiology. This is pre-anatomy physiology, right? So if you're going to the nursing program, which I believe a lot of you are, practical nursing program, you will have to do the actual anatomy and physiology. And like I said, from what I heard, that's a killer. Helps to protect the body during long-term stressful situation. That would be cortisol. Cortisol. It increases resource availability. Okay, so we have the glucose available to keep us running while we are stressed out. Not like physically running, but keeps the body running. That's what I mean. Short-term stress aids in fight or flight response, increases blood pressure and heart rate. Many people know this one. It's the epinephrine. Okay, and then epinephrine has a brother. It's norepinephrine. They do the same thing. Next hormone is necessary if glucose is to be taken up by body cells. So like after a meal, you have a lot of glucose in the blood. You want to take them up. You want to absorb them. Then you need insulin. Insulin. Next, we have 4 tropic hormones released from the anterior pituitary gland. These are hormones that will target another endocrine gland, such as FSH, LH. They target the gonads, testicles, ovaries. We have the TSH that targets the thyroid, and the one that I always have trouble with, it's the ACTH, ACTH, which acts on the adrenal cortex, right? Which then releases the cortisol. H acts antagonistically to insulin produced by the same endocrine organ. So antagonistic to insulin is glucagon. Glucagon. That endocrine gland, that endocrine organ, endocrine gland, of course, is pancreas, right? Hypothalamic hormone important in regulating water balance. That should be ADH. Yes, it's released from the posterior pituitary, but it was actually produced in the hypothalamus. Anterior pituitary hormone that regulates the ovarian cycle, FSH and LH. Directly regulate the menstrual uterine cycle. The uterine cycle, it's talking about the endometrium, like the thickness of the endometrium, right? So which 2 hormones controls the thickness of the endometrium? Anybody?
Progesterone and I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, that's good. Progesterone is good. Anyone else?
Estrogen?
Oh yeah, you yeah, you remember. Good. Progesterone and estrogen. Okay. They both thicken the endometrium, right? Okay, adrenal cortex, that means from the outside of the adrenal gland, involves in salt level regulation. That would be aldosterone. Aldosterone. Necessary for milk production. Milk production is prolactin. And let down, which is a completely separate thing. I meant to change this sentence like for the longest time, but I never remembered to do it. So again, milk production is PRL, but let down is oxytocin, right? So please try to remember as many of these as possible. But it's okay to have a cheat sheet if you need one. Now, I'm not gonna do this because you should be doing this. Okay, you can totally fill this in yourself. Just use the this picture to help yourself. Where is it? This guy. You can use this one to help yourself, right? Okay. Just look at the hormones and the and where they're from, and then you can fill this in. So, for example, like the let's just randomly pick one here. Let's pick thyroid gland. What hormones are secreted from the thyroid gland? Just top of your head, do you remember the 3 hormones that are coming from the thyroid gland? Anybody?
Calcitonin?
That's one of them, yeah. What else? Anyone
PT.
else? Yes, sir, go ahead. Sorry, which one is it again? Yeah, Sarah says T3, but if you know T3, you know the other one, T4, that's right. So then the thyroid gland is calcitonin, T3, T4. Right? So just fill it in yourself. You can do it. Right? Just look at the diagram and then match it up yourself, okay? I already posted this last class anyways. And then this one is the other way around. Now you have the hormone and you have to think about where it is from. So let's say oxytocin. Okay, where is oxytocin released and produced from? Oxytocin, anybody? You know what it's for, right? It's for the letdown of the milk. It's for the going into labor, pushing the baby out. But where is oxytocin released from?
Hypothalamus?
It's produced in the hypothalamus. Yes, very good. But it's released from
The pituitary gland, the anterior?
the posterior. Yeah, PP, posterior pituitary. Yeah. Okay. So that's what you have to do. Like if I fill it out for you, then like it's not gonna help you remember it, right? So go through this exercise, do it yourself. The answer is gonna be posted. Okay. Next, we have these hormone charts that we have to complete. They are very useful as well. I'll do this. I'll do it with you, but again, I encourage you to do it again on your own when you are studying. Right? So first one, we have the thyroid releasing hormone, the TRH, the location of secretion. Where do we secrete the TRH? Well, that is going to be the anterior pituitary. No. Sorry. Location of secretion is the hypothalamus because it's RH, right? If it's a releasing hormone, then it's going to be from the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. And you almost have to write it out on the side to help yourself keep track of these things. And that's one of the HPA, right? Remember the hypothalamic pituitary axis? So what triggers the release of TRH? Well, when you have low T3, T4, which means you have low metabolism. That's when you need to switch on this pathway so we can make more T3 and T4. What does TRH do? Well, just follow the path here. TRH is gonna increase TSH. Okay, one thing leads to the next. So that brings us to the next hormone in line, the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. And this time it is from the anterior pituitary. And the stimulus is increase in TRH. It's basically like the previous thing, right? So when there's more TRH, the anterior pituitary gland will release more TSH. And if you follow the path again, the effect on target is going to increase T3 and T4. Okay, we can say what the target is. This is from AP. This is from thyroid. Now we have T3 and T4. They are from the thyroid. And the stimulus is like the previous thing, increase in TSH. So what does it do? Well, T3 and T4 increase metabolism. But more importantly, the T3, T4 will lower TRH, lower TSH through negative feedback. Okay. So that's how you fill in these charts. Okay, there are a couple more ones here. CRH, ACTH. You just follow the same format, okay? And you should definitely, take the time to do that. Okay, I think it's more beneficial, actually for you to do it, and then check the answers and the study guide. So that's all. That's the whole course. Okay, very good. Well done for sticking throughout the whole course. Is there anything you want to ask me before I take up the lab with you? That's my next plan. Okay, to take up lab number 3 with you. Does anybody have any questions at all? Let me see if I can copy the lab over. Looks like it's going to take some time for the pasting. It's probably should cancel that. Okay, give me a second.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
did we finish the PowerPoint? The last one?
Yeah, I mean, like I know there are a couple of slides there, but then all the information in the slides is basically what I took up with the with you, right? Like in the when we fill in the table for the insulin glucagon, that's basically what it was, right? Yeah, I don't think there is any additional information in there that we haven't already covered.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the lab. Let's just go through it. And remember the lab, it's 5%, right? So make sure you take the time to go through it, please. So here we go. Okay, this seems like a long time ago, but it's the lab quiz always includes the first part of each unit as well, right? So let's label these things. A here, that is the adrenal cortex, right? Adrenal cortex, which, by the way, secretes things like aldosterone and cortisol, right? I'm just trying to pack in as many things as possible. Right? Serve as kind of like a review for you as well. B over here, that is the adrenal medulla. And it secretes epinephrine and norepinephrine. Okay, C is look pointing at these little cone stuff. Does anyone remember what they're called?
Renal medulla.
Renal pyramid.
Pyramid, that's right. Yeah, pyramid, which is part of the medulla. Okay, but I'm looking for renal pyramid. Okay, the medulla would include the column, right? The renal column together. That would be the medulla. Okay. I over here, that's the renal cortex. H would be the renal column. These are easy. That's the renal artery, renal vein, And this here, what is that?
The ureter.
The ureter, yeah. And over here, that would be the major, well, actually, you know what? That's the minor calyx, major calyx. I would say this is the renal pelvis. Renal pelvis. Okay. That's all. Oh, sorry, I missed a thing here. That's the renal capsule. Like the casing, right? Of the kidney. Okay, moving on. What hormone is secreted from A and plays a role in osmolarity regulation? I talked about that already. It is the aldosterone. Right, so aldosterone will increase sodium and water absorption from kidney. And then it will increase blood pressure as a result. Increase blood volume and increase blood pressure. What blood vessel does F branch off from? F is the renal artery. So what blood vessel is this one? What does it say there? Yep, that is the abdominal aorta. Very good. Okay, right here, abdominal aorta. And E is going to go all the way down to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder. Okay. Locate each of the following in the model. Okay. So we have the renal pyramid. That's easy. That's this stuff, right? These are the renal pyramid. Okay, I'm just going to pop in the letter A there. Renal papilla. Well, papilla is like the tip of the papilla of the pyramid, right? So that's where the B is going to be. Segmental artery. It's right there. Interlobar artery in May. That's the one that goes up, right? The sides of the pyramid. And then E is the arcuate artery right here. So basically like this whole path. This whole path. It goes up, right? It shows you all the three things. Okay, what else do we have? Cortical radiate artery and vein. That's these ones. All these. Those are F. Okay. And for practice, you can try to label other things, right? So, I guess there isn't much to label, but you might see the glomerulus here, right? Again, that's the ureter, renal pelvis, so on and so forth. Okay, there's the microscope slide. Don't forget to study the microscope slide for lab 1 and lab 2. They will be on. So label A. Okay, like what are we even looking at here? Well, this is this A over here, this whole thing. That is actually glomerulus. And B is actually like this whole thing over here, I suppose. That, okay. That is the Bowman's capsule. And it's a little bit hard to visualize this one, but there is a C over there. That's another one. Now you have to remember these are like cut, right? These are things that has been cut. So what happens is that like if you visualize this like going behind the page, right? That actually is gonna like form a tube like that. And then maybe this comes out of the page and then connects to this one. And then you might have another tube here. So these are actually like all twisted up, coming out of the page, going back in. But because you're cutting it, that's why you only see a circle, right? And these, because it's so close to the glomerulus, those are actually the proximal tubule. Okay, proximal tubule. Hey, is this the renal cortex or is it the renal medulla? Hey, this is the capsule. This is the edge of the kidney. And all these things are glomerulus. You can see these balls. Those are glomerulus. So do you think this is the renal cortex or do you think this is the renal medulla?
I can't remember which one is the outer one.
Outer is cortex, yeah.
Cortex. So I think it's the renal cortex.
Yeah, this is the cortex, yeah. First of all, it's close to the surface, close to the capsule, but more importantly, glomerulus, glomeruli, I guess the plural, are only found in the cortex. Okay, remember it's like the loop of Henle goes deep into the medulla, right? But then the glomerulus is outside. It's on the in the cortex. Okay, that's it for the kidneys. That's it for the kidneys. Let's move on to the bones. Let's label the bones. A is over here. This whole thing is A. Okay, that is frontal bone. Forms the top of the eye socket as well. Don't forget. G. What is G?
Maxilla.
That is the maxilla. That's right. Okay, there we go. Maxilla. right? Forms the medial side of the eye socket and the top socket, right? For your top teeth. C,
Mandible.
mandible. Yeah. The only movable bone, right? In the whole head. There we go. Mandible. Moving on. These are bones of the orbit. So 7 bones in total, right? A is frontal. B is the one that people keep on forgetting. It's the sphenoid bone, okay? The butterfly shape goes from one side to the other. There is a groove at the top for the pituitary gland to sit in. Okay, this gap right here, that's where the optic nerve goes through, right? C, that is the zygomatic, the cheekbone. D is the maxilla. We just labeled that. E is a bone that actually you just form a tiny bit of your orbit, but then it goes down and forms like a U shape, forming part of your hard palate as well. That is the palatine bone. Palatine bone. F is the lacrymal bone. And G is the ethmoid bone. Okay, so these form your eye socket, your orbit. Okay, next. Couple of bones here. Let's see if we can label any of them. Let's start with B. B is, which one is B?
Zygomatic bone.
B is the zygomatic. Okay, kind of forms like right here. The cheekbone, zygomatic. H.
Maxilla.
Not quite. Good try though. That's the lacrymal. Okay, lacrymal. It's like right here. Like F, right? So like if you're just kind of pinching on the eye socket right there, lacrymal bone at the front. Okay, what about K? K is right here. You only see part of it, but it goes through the whole head. Okay, which
The
bone is it?
sphenoid bone.
Sphenoid. Okay, D right here. That is the temporal bone. And that actually is the ear canal. The auditory canal, right?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I was checking my answers on like the 3D model thing, and it said that L was the occipital bone. Is that just because it's not specific enough, or?
Oh, no, occipital bone should be at the back though. The occipital bone should be at the back. Yeah, maybe it was just like a different perspective. Yeah. You talk about L, right? Like this thing right here, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
sort of like came up towards the front.
No,
Okay.
that is definitely the ear canal. Yeah. Okay. This is the bottom of the skull. It should say inferior view. Inferior view, looking at it from the bottom. So the hole is the foramen magnum. Okay. Foramen magnum. Big hole. That's what it means. And what goes through it? Well, spinal cord, right? Medulla. Don't forget, on each side of the foramen magnum, we have the occipital condyle. And what bone does the occipital condyle forms a joint with? The atlas, which is C1. Okay. Allows us to nod the head. Right? Couple other things here that might interest you. We can see here that's the palatine bone. It's the bottom of the U, right? That I told you about. You can look back at the notes to see that. And we also have this here. Okay. That is the maxilla. Okay. And together, that's the heart palate, right? Heart palate. Okay, moving on. This is the right arm, looking at it from the front. So humerus is right here. Which one is the radius? Which one is the ulna? Which one is the radius? Which one is the ulna? Can you guys tell? Well, the radius is the one that's lateral. That's on the same side as the thumb. So that's the one. This is the thumb. And then that's the ulna. Okay. This is the right arm. This is the palm. You're looking at the palm of it, right? Okay, here we go. We have the hand. What do we call these bones? And how many do we have there?
8 carpals.
Carpals, that's right. Carpals, 8. And next we have the finger bones. Sorry, not the finger bones, the I don't know what you call them, like the hand bones. Okay, there are 5 of them. These are the metacarpals. And finally, at the front, right, all these are phalanges. 14 phalanges. 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But the thumb only has 2. Okay, label the vertebrae. These are the ones in the neck. Cervical. Cervical. 1 to 7. These are thoracic. 1 to 12. T1, T2, all the way to T12. And the ones in the lower back, that's the lumbar. L1 to L5. Let's take a closer look at the C1 and C2. It's the same model, but I just took a picture from the top. Okay, so A, that's where the occipital condyle connect here, right? So this one here, that is going to be the C1. And then C2 is this one that's going through it. Okay, I guess you can't really see the full view here, but that's the C2. And part B that's going through it, that's called the den. Okay. Dens of axis. And what kind of joint do they form here? The C1 and the C2?
Pivot joint.
Pivot joint. That's right, pivot joint. Excellent. Allows you to shake the head from side to side. Okay, there's a bunch of things here. We are looking at the T thoracic section. And here D is the intervertebral disc. Intervertebral disc. Trying to reduce the friction, right? As we bend our spine front and back. Over here, these locks the spine in place so we don't, go all the way backwards and fall over. Those are called the spinous process. It's all in the PowerPoint. Spinous process. So this part, A, is going to lock itself with C to connect each other. So A is the inferior articulate process, whereas C is the superior articulate process. Now, this might be a little bit confusing for some of you. Like, why is the one below called the superior one, and why is the one on top called the inferior one? Well, that's because it's inferior for the bone above, right? Like if you think of this, I don't know, let's call this like a T3 or something. This whole bone is T3. Okay, and the blue part, that's the inferior portion of T3. Whereas this here would be T4, as in like, the thoracic vertebra 3 and 4, okay? Not to be confused with the hormones. The orange part here is the superior side of the T4. So they lock in place and forms an articulation. This would be an example of a partially movable joint, as opposed to movable, right? Movable, we have 6 of them. The ball and socket, hinge joint, pivot, so on and so forth. This is a partially movable joint. Are we together, guys? All right. Moving on to the rib cage. This is our classroom, by the way, for those of you who never attended in-person class. This is the lab that we usually have class for biology and anatomy, and this is
What
an actual model. What's that?
what campus?
This is Ashton B. Yeah, Ashton.
Really?
Yeah. Now you know. So D here is clavicle. Clavicle. Right. People usually take selfies with this skeleton. They love it. So that's the clavicle, the collarbone. Okay. Over here we have this guy, which is the sternum, but the sternum has three parts to it. There is, if you remember, the manubrium. That's where the first and second rib connects to, part of the second rib anyways. There is the body, and then we have the xiphoid process, where the diaphragm is going to be attaching onto. So that forms the sternum. F is the intercostal muscle. Oh, sorry. The costal cartilage. I was thinking about the muscle between them. That's the breathing muscle. But no, these are just the costal cartilage. And remember, number 1 to 7 has its own costal cartilage. Those are the true ribs, right? I think we might have another question coming up, so I'll tell you about it later. What about this one? What is this? Anybody remember this guy?
Scapula.
That is the scapula. Scapula forms a ball and socket joint with the humerus, right? All right, moving on, we have the shoulder girdle. Shoulder girdle. So this is just looking at it from the back. We have the clavicle again, scapula, and the groove here, that is the glenoid cavity. Glenoid cavity of scapula. And then it's going to be connecting with C right here. And I'm sure you know that one. Humerus. And this is a ball and socket. Ball and socket joint. Okay, moving on. Located true ribs. True ribs are 1 to 7. It has its own costal cartilage. Let me try to do that for you right here. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you can see it has its own costal cartilage, right? 5, 6, and 7. And then the other ones are a little bit harder to see. 8, 9, 10 is gonna be, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Okay, I have to count backwards. This, because it's really hard to see on the diagram. This is 12 and 11. So 12 and 11, they are floating ribs. Floating ribs. Those are the ones that don't have any cartilage at all. And then if I keep on counting backwards, we will have number 10, 9. I don't think you can see 8 here. It's somewhere in there, okay? But 8 to 12, those are the false ribs. Okay? They don't directly connect to the sternum. So 8, 9, 10 has costocartilage, but those cartilage connects to the cartilage of number 7. They don't connect directly to the sternum. Whereas floating ribs, they don't even have cartilage at all. Pelvic region now, starting with well, let's just do A first. A is just a lumbar vertebra. You know, L1 to L5. This one is the last one, so it's L5 actually. Okay, this bone here, anybody remember what that is? This bone?
The ilium.
That is the ilium with the I. Very good. We have this one right here. Right, that is the ischium. And also maybe another color here. That is the pubis. Pubis. Now this thing here that connects the two pubis together, and we saw that in the reproductive system, that is the symphysis. Pubis gives a little bit of flexibility between the two halves of the pelvic. Okay, we don't want it to be entirely rigid. If things are too rigid, they're easy to break. C over here, that is an irregular bone in terms of shape, sacrum. Couple more things here. G, that's the obturator foramen. Remember, that's where you will have the blood vessels and the nerves going through to the legs, so we don't accidentally sit on them, right? Okay, so that's the front view of the pelvis. And by the way, if you take these three things together, okay, they form the coxal bone. Okay, so like basically half of the pelvis, the coxal. Don't confuse the coxal with the coccyx. Okay, coccyx, C-O-C-C-Y-X. The coccyx bone is the tailbone. The coxal bone is like, you know, this whole half of the pelvis. Okay, here it is on the side. You you would not believe how long it took me to put this thing to stand up because it keeps on falling over. I think at the end I put like an eraser to kind of pop it up to take this picture. Okay, so A here is the coccyx bone here. 3 to 5 fused together, the tailbone. This is part of the ischium, and it's the part that we're sitting on. So that's the ischio tuberosity. Okay, we've learned all these already. It's just that, you know, we just have to recall the information, I suppose. There we have the socket for the femur. This is the acetabulum. For the head of femur. Acetabulum. Another ball and socket, of course. Almost there. Hang in there. We're almost done. Okay, ABC. This is the knee. So that is the distal end of the femur. The proximal end connects with the acetabulum, right? And what bone is B and C? Help me out, please.
B is the tibia and C is the fibula, and then D would be the patella.
Yes. So B is the tibia and fibula. Yeah. Tibia and fibula. And D is the patella, which you can see here is actually within the ligament. Okay, ligament connects bone to bone, right? And you have all these ligaments on the side. Those are the ones that you hear like professional sport player, that's the one that they torn, right? They torn an ACL or something like that. That's one of those things. Okay, moving down to the foot. We have all these bones here, 7 of them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tarsals, but I mean, they all have their own names. Okay, but I only wanted you to remember 2 of them. The talus, okay, like the phone company, but with an A. And the heel that we walk on, that's the calcaneus. Calcaneus. And everything is pretty straightforward afterwards. We have the metatarsal. And the phalanges. I think one more picture of the bone. Nothing for the muscle though. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, there will be questions about the muscle, but no diagram, I don't think. And label the compact bone. Oh, where do we begin? So many things here. Well, first of all, we have a thing here, like a whole circle here. That would be an osteon, which is a structural unit of the compact bone. Remember all these 3 rings that we drew together? Now these little black holes, like there's another one there, another one there. Those are the lacuna with a E for plural. That is where the bone cells are living in. Okay, contains osteocytes. We have the central canal right there for the blood vessel to come out. Central canal. All these lines that you see, I guess it's hard to point to. All these lines. I think that's what this one is attempting to point to. That's the caniculi. And the bony part, like that's the matrix, right? We call that the lamina. Okay. That's all. let's go through the male reproductive system here. I mean, most of these things are pretty straightforward, but you know, let's go through it anyway. One is the testicles. One is the testicles. Testes. I actually don't know the difference. Testicles mean the same thing. Number two. Hey, what's number two here? This whole thing on top of the testicles. What is it?
Epididymis.
That's right, epididymis. That's where the sperm are stored and where they learn how to swim. Epididymis. Number three is talking about this whole tube. Okay, that is the vas deferens. Vas deferens. There are two of them. Number five is right here. That's the seminal vesicle, which helps, it's part of the glands that produce the semen. Seven is another gland, right? They both secrete alkaline base secretion, as well as you know, some fructose, right, for the sperm. And number eight is the third gland. It's really hard to see on the diagram, but it's right there. That's the bulbourethral, or Cowper's gland, right? There you go. I mean, there are a bunch of other things you can label here too. Oh, I think it's coming up on the next slide. Yep, there they are. Okay, what else do we have? 28. 28 is right here. That's the urinary bladder. Thirty-four is the symphysis pubis. What's 30?
Rectum.
That's the rectum. Yeah. I'm sorry if this seems really, really dry. Like, yeah, we just have to label it, okay? Like it's, I cannot make this too interesting. It's just part of it, okay? Number 9, where's number 9? I can't really see number 9. Oh, there it is. Yeah, number 9. It's this right here. That is the urethra. And number 16. 16 is right here. That's a scrotum. Okay. That's all. Like I said, there are other stuff, you know, like you can try to test yourself, like, oh, okay, like that's the spinal cord right there. That's the, you know, coccyx bone, so on and so forth. Okay, this is a testicle. And the seminiferous tubules is actually right here. That's one of them. Okay, like that is another one. Remember, like it's like think of like a swimming noodle, right? I keep on saying those floating long styrofoam noodle things that kids take to swimming. If you cut them, then you look at it, then you only see the circle, right? But it's actually part of a tube that keeps on turning, right? That's what this is. This is the seminiferous tubules, and these are the tails of the sperm on the inside. These are cells that are undergoing meiosis, and they move towards the lumen when they mature. Okay, pretty straightforward there. 2 more slides for the female, and then we're done. Okay, let's see what we have here. Number 1. Number 1 is the ovary. Okay, it's this thing right here. That releases the egg, and it goes into number 2, which is the fallopian tube. Number 3 is the fimbriae to help guide the egg to the fallopian tube. Number 6 is the neck of the uterus. That is the cervix. Seven is the muscle, so that's the myometrium. Myometrium. 8 is the uterus, but is the fundus. Okay, like the body of the uterus. Number 9, that's the vagina. Okay, 21, right here. That's a urinary bladder. 22 is the urethra. It's right here. Urethra. 25 is the rectum. 26. Where's 26? Oh, I think it's right here. 26 is the anus. 31. Symphysis pubis. Right, the bone that joins the two pubis together, right? And 35. Spinal cord. And 29. This we talked about before. It's called a round ligament, which holds the uterus in place so it doesn't fall down too much from the weight of the baby. That is all. Okay, yeah, that's the whole course. So this is our last class together, guys. Thank you very much for, I think you the 10 of you are like the ones who are like the regulars, okay? Like you always came to class, even in the first semester. So thank you for your dedication, and I wish you all the very best. No class on next Monday. I will post a review video for you to watch, and then that's it. Okay, you do your lab 3, and then you do your test 3. Yeah, and that's it. So wishing you all the best for all your exams and your future program. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Sorry, wait 1 second.
Okay,
When
yeah.
is the lab? When is the lab due?
The lab, I think it's I set it so that it's the day before the final test. Let me just double check that,
The final test is which day?
The final test is next Wednesday.
Wednesday, same as maths, and the
Same-
lab is
Same as. Oh, I thought you guys are having the math on Monday. Isn't that that's what Tunde told me. Is that not true? You got Monday?
maths is Monday?
Yeah, he sent out an email the other day.
Oh, math test is on Monday? Okay.
Okay, yeah. So let's see. Lab quiz is going to be available all the way to the 16th, and 16th is the Tuesday. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
So it's
then
open now, right?
say that again.
Lab quiz is open? Is it open?
Yeah, it should be open. I should be open today, I think. Yeah, it's open today. Okay.
Okay,
And like usual, it's like 2 attempts and the best one counts, right? And then test 3 is over here. Test 3 is going to be on the 17th, which is the Wednesday, I believe. Yep, yep. And then you got the whole day, 80 minutes, you know the usual stuff. Okay.
okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, if you guys have anything else, feel free to email me. Otherwise, take care and come back and say hi sometime. Bye-bye.
Bye.